Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
New details tonight as the body of the missing 6-year-old boy has been recovered from the Housatonic River following an extensive 2-day search. Thanks for joining us on the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Stefan Reels. Rescue teams worked tirelessly to locate the child after he fell into the river earlier this week. Fox 61's Valerie Moravi has the latest developments from Stratford.
Yes, Stratford police tell us the boy's body was found Friday afternoon, about half a mile from where he fell into the water. Now, the witness tell us he hopes this could bring some closure to the family. A massive 2-day search for a missing 6-year-old boy came to a heartbreaking end Friday afternoon. Stratford police say crews found the boy's body just after 2 p.m. after he fell from a dock at the Birdside boat ramp on Wednesday. Bob Kikax witnessed it happen.
I saw the boy in the water, probably 20 feet off the dock, trying to stay afloat with his arm in the air, waving, trying to get attention.
Police say a local employee jumped into the Housatonic River to try and save the boy, but the river's powerful current swept him away. Emergency crews then launched a large-scale search using boats, divers, sonar, and drones. 48 hours later, a recreational boater discovered the child's body about half a mile south of where he fell in. Family members gathered nearby, hugging and grieving the devastating loss. Ora Matthews, a frequent visitor of the boat ramp, and shared her heartbreak.
And I'm just so sorry. I'm so sad that this happened. And, such a baby enjoying the summer, I feel very, very hurt and very sad for this little 6-year-old. I'm a grandma myself with a 9-year-old.
I felt so helpless that I couldn't do anything. Hopefully it'll give him closure too,
Now, police confirmed that the boy's body has been taken to a medical examiner's office for an autopsy. In Stratford, Valerie Moravi, Fox 61.
Thank you, Valerie. And we're also following breaking news out of Atlanta, where a DeKalb County police officer has died after responding to an active shooter incident near Emory University. The situation first started just before 5 p.m. near the entrance to the CDC campus, which sits right next to Emory. According to CDC employees, bullets struck the window of several buildings on the campus. The interim police chief of DeKalb County Police Department says the fallen officers leave behind a wife, 2 children, and a 3rd child on the way. The name of the officer is not being released at this time, and Emory University quickly sent out an alert advising students and staff to run, hide, fight, and to shelter in place as authorities work to contain the situation. Officials confirmed the suspected shooter is dead. Thankfully, though, 92 children were inside a daycare located on the CDC campus during the incident, and none of them were injured. The FBI has joined local law enforcement in investigating the case. Several streets around the university and CDC remain blocked as a heavy police presence continues. Emory, known for its top medical school and liberal arts program, is located just minutes from CDC headquarters. Officials are urging everyone to avoid the area as the investigation continues.
Three charges murder, 53A-54A. How do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
The man who was accused of killing a visiting nurse has been sentenced to 50 years in prison. Michael Reese pleaded guilty to murder in the 2023 killing of Nurse Joyce Grayson in Willimantic. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules was in the courtroom and tells us more about the sentencing.
The plea agreement was reached to sentence Reese to 50 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The earliest he could be released is 2075.
It is the sentence of the court that should be committed to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 50 years in service.
In October of 2023, Joyce Grayson, a visiting nurse, came to a halfway home for registered sex offenders to care for patients. Michael Reese, a convicted rapist, was staying at the halfway home at the time of Grayson's visit. At some point, police say she was attacked and killed by Reese while she was inside the home. She was later found dead in the basement.
Upon entering the basement floor, officers gained entry to a smaller side room where Ms. Grayson was found covered in a blanket with a pillow over her head. She exhibited no signs of life or breathing.
Grayson's official cause of death was compression of the neck. She also suffered several blunt force injuries. State's Attorney John Fahey called Grayson's murder a tragic loss for both her family and the community.
It is a senseless killing. There was absolutely no reason for it.
Family members who wanted to keep their privacy gave victim impact statements to the judge. Grayson was described by loved ones as a hardworking and selfless person. A family member says even after an incident like this, Grayson would have still gone back to work and continued visiting homes to care for her patients. Another family member also expressed anger towards Reese for delaying court proceedings because of the several times he didn't come to court. Reese's attorney offered an explanation to the family.
We felt ashamed. It was shame they couldn't bring him here.
Reese chose not to speak on his behalf. After the sentencing, the family's attorney, Kelly Reardon, spoke on their behalf.
They hope that Joyce's death will inspire others, particularly the state of Connecticut, to implement changes in legislation, changes that have already been underway.
Since Grayson's murder, legislation has been passed to better protect visiting nurses. Home care agencies are now required to tell employees patients' history with violence or aggression towards healthcare workers. Agencies must also report any violence, verbal threats, or sexual abuse to the state. Reardon says Grayson's family wants her to be remembered as someone who never stopped loving or caring for others.
Even convicted sex offenders like the defendant deserved quality care, and Joyce died providing that care.
Reardon says a civil lawsuit involving the home care agency Grayson worked for and the state of Connecticut have reached a resolution. That resolution now awaits approval from the probate court. In Danielson, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Thank you, Alicia. And new developments tonight. 3 Waterbury men are now facing federal charges in connection to a string of violent crimes, including the February shooting of a Waterbury police detective. A federal grand jury indicted the suspects in a 7-count case tied to armed robberies, carjackings, and an attempted murder. Prosecutors say the group was fleeing police when one opened fire, hitting a detective in the leg. All 3 have been in custody since February. And the Inspector General's office determined a Hartford officer was justified in shooting a man who was actually shooting at someone else in April of last year. Officer Davin and Budhu was on Weathersfield Avenue around 12:15 in the morning for a hit and run, and he was talking to the owner of the damaged car when gunshots came from a house across the street. Police then saw a man running away from Luis Ortiz, who was shooting at the man. Officer Budhu told the man who was running to get down before firing 2 shots at Ortiz. No one got hurt, but Ortiz was charged for the shooting. The OIG says Ortiz posed a threat to the victim, himself, and others, and they say he was reasonable in his force. And new tonight, the 5-time national truck driving champion is hitting the road again. The Connecticut native is taking on drivers from across the country this month in Minneapolis. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson joined him for a practice session today, tells his story.
Every inch, every turn, every gas pedal pump. That's the drive behind Connecticut's own Roland Bolduc, and he's gearing up to take on the best of the best again.
Everyone learns how to parallel park. But how about adding 14 more wheels?
I'd rather back this thing up sometimes in my own pickup truck.
Yeah, said no one ever.
It's not perfect, but it's points. That's about 40 points.
Practice makes perfect, and that's exactly what Connecticut native Roland Bolduc plans to be.
I'll be practicing that quite a bit from now until I leave on the 18th, 19th.
This will be Bolduc's 20th year representing the state of Connecticut at the National Truck Driving Championship, a competition he's no stranger to winning.
2017, 2022 National Grand Truck Driving Champion, and then 5-time National Champion.
Well, it's on his truck, but has it gone to his head?
Does he have an ego? Huge?
Huge. They all like to say that.
But Bolduc would say it's all luck and his duck aim. And no, I'm not talking about hunting season.
And you have to get within 6 inches of the duck's bill.
It's problems like that build up points. The closer you get, the higher you score.
Much better. Knowing exactly where each and every tire is. So when I'm out on a course, walking that course for the first time, I'm measuring things out.
But decades of practice have nothing on training from Pops.
My dad was such a great driver. He is my role model.
Bolduc grew up knowing nothing but the road and the challenges that come with.
He always had that cigar in his mouth, and he always said, if you can't put that truck in there, I will. That challenge was always there.
And while he watches his mirrors, he's got a team of fans watching from above.
His dad's always with me, and my mom's watching down as well.
And from the stands.
I have a 7.5-year-old grandson named Charlie that asked me the other day, he calls me Pepe. He said, Pepe, are you the best truck driver in the world? What do you say to that? You have to say yes. Well, now I have to go prove myself.
Though he may already be the best to his biggest fans, he's ready to prove it to the nation.
And we will find out who will take home that national title on August 24th. And you can find a link to stream the awards at fox61.com. Reporting in East Granby, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.